Privet Drive looked unchanged. The hedges still clipped square, the curtains still drawn with suspicion, the houses still neat in their rows as though disorder itself had been outlawed. Harry had not meant to stop. He had only wanted to walk past once, to prove that this place no longer had power over him. Yet his feet slowed, and before he knew it, he was standing before the familiar door. It opened before he could knock. Petunia Dursley stood framed in the doorway. She looked smaller, older, and the tight line of her mouth wavered in a way he had never seen. For a moment, Harry thought she might slam the door, as she had so many times in his childhood. Instead, she said, "Come in." Her voice cracked on the second word. The hallway smelled the same, lemon polish and old dust. Harry stepped inside, and the walls seemed to draw closer, as though the house remembered him too well. He kept his hand near his wand, though he doubted he would need it here. The kitchen was neat, spotless, as it always had been. But on the table sat a tin box, battered and smudged with flour. Petunia's hands hovered near it nervously, her fingers twitching as if they longed to hide it again. "You'll hear this once," she said, sitting stiffly. "Then you may go, but you will hear it." Harry leaned against the counter, arms folded. He had imagined silence in this house, not confessions. Still, he nodded. "Go on." Petunia drew a slow breath, her eyes fixed on the tin. "You think I hated magic," she said. "That was the story I told myself. But it wasn't hate. It was hunger. I wanted it so badly I would have given anything." Her lips pressed tight. "And I did." Harry frowned. "What do you mean?" "I joined him." The words dropped like stones into the room. The Dark Lord. Harry froze. The rain outside had just begun to patter softly against the glass, but the kitchen felt deathly still. Petunia's gaze flickered toward him, then away. "I wasn't branded, not like his chosen. But I was useful, an invisible girl in the Muggle world. I listened. I carried messages. I passed along names no one would suspect me of knowing. And he promised me what I craved more than breath. He promised me magic." Harry shook his head, though his heart thudded. "That doesn't make sense." "It makes perfect sense," Petunia said bitterly. "He offered me everything I had begged the world for. A wand. A place. A chance not to be the shadow of my sister." Her hands pressed flat on the tin. "But usefulness runs out." "When I found myself with child, his patience ended. A liability, he called me. He said he would kill me, and the baby." Harry felt the floor tilt under him. The word baby seemed to hang in the air like smoke. "I couldn't protect you," Petunia said softly. "So I went to Lily." Harry's breath caught. "Lily? She listened," Petunia whispered. "She always listened, even when she should not have. She despised me, but she was kind in a way I never could be. I begged her. I begged her to take you." She agreed. Petunia slid the tin toward him. Harry hesitated, then opened it. Inside lay a folded parchment sealed in wax, edges covered in Lily's careful handwriting. "She bound you to herself and James with an old charm. Maternum vinculum. Paternum sigillum. It gave you her eyes, his name, his line. To the world, to the records, to the prophecy itself. You were their son. Harry James Potter. But before that spell, you were mine." The room seemed to shrink. Harry stared at the parchment, at the seal pressed with Lily's crest. His chest felt hollow. "You're lying," he said hoarsely. "I look like them. Everyone says, because of her spell." Petunia snapped, then softened. "Because Lily made you hers." "James's." "That was the only way to protect you." Harry clutched the parchment, shaking. His entire life had been built on names, on stories, on what others had told him. And now, Petunia's voice dropped to a whisper, "I hated you because you reminded me of what I had done. I gave you away." "And still, I betrayed you." Harry looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" Petunia's eyes were glassy, grey and hollow. "He came to me again, the Dark Lord. He said the prophecy pointed to the Potter's child. He promised me magic if I gave him a name. If I told him who held their secret. And I... The rain beat harder against the glass. Harry's pulse roared in his ears. I told him, Petunia whispered. I gave him the key to your hiding place. Harry's stomach lurched. He gripped the counter to steady himself. You betrayed them, he said, his voice ragged. And you, Petunia breathed. Most of all, I betrayed you. The clock ticked once. Twice. The kitchen seemed to hold its breath. For a while, neither of them spoke. The kitchen clock kept up its false cheer, counting seconds that no longer belonged to either of them. At last, Harry slid the tin closer and lifted the parchment with both hands. The wax seal was Lily's. He knew the firmness of that stroke as surely as he knew his own scar. Read the heading, Petunia said. You'll see I'm not inventing words. Harry traced the top line. Maternum vinculum. Beneath it, in a tighter hand, Paternum sigillum. The text was dense, a legal incantation more than a story, but its meaning was simple enough. Let the child be bound to the mother who claims him and the father who names him, recognised by record and ward, by quill and oath, in all places where such bonds are honoured. He could see the night it had been done. Lily in a robe rolled to the elbows, chalking a clean circle on the floor of Godric's Hollow. James steady at her shoulder, the baby blinking at candlelight. Petunia in the doorway, not inside the circle, not quite out of it, staring as Lily pricked her thumb and touched a bright bead to the child's brow, as James pressed his signet into fresh wax, as ink dried and something in the air shifted. The world's eye turned. A Potter child, where an hour before there had been a frightened girl's secret. The Book of Admittance wrote your name the next morning, Petunia said quietly. Hogwarts saw you, because the magic said it must. The Ministry would have too if anyone had asked. Your eyes began to look like hers. Your hair, like his when it forgot to be combed. Magic wears its laws like bones. And Dumbledore? Harry asked. He came after, she said. Not to me, to Lily. He explained the rest, the way a mother's sacrifice wraps a child, the way that protection can be anchored in a home where his mother's blood dwells. I understood then why he would later leave you on my doorstep with that exact phrase underlined. He meant Lily, of course, Lily's blood housed in her sister. He never knew the other thing. Her mouth twitched. Or if he did, he never let me see it. Harry set the parchment down. His hands had steadied, but only because the tremor had moved inward. Voldemort never knew either, he said. It wasn't a question. Petunia shook her head. To him you were the Potters, the child named in a broken prophecy, born as July died, protected by a witch who would not step aside. That was enough for him. Harry's throat felt tight. Then why come to you at all? Because even monsters have habits, Petunia said. He used people like me to open doors he could not see. I had carried names for him before. He assumed I could carry one more. She folded her hands, knuckles pale. He did not ask for an address. The Fidelius would have made that useless. He asked for the man who held the secret. Wormtail, Harry said, the word bitter. Peter Pettigrew, Petunia nodded. Your mother knew to hide in magic. She did not think to hide from a woman who spent her life learning rooms. He was a small man with small appetites. He favoured back doors and easy company, places where he could be invisible. I had seen him twice by chance and once with purpose when I was still passing messages. I knew when he would be alone. I told them which door to wait by. Harry saw it then with brutal clarity. A rain-dark alley, a nervous, blinking man clutching his coat too tight, a shadow detaching from a wall, the soft, delighted voice that had ordered the deaths of strangers like it was tidying a desk. He tasted copper. He swallowed it down. I told myself he would not talk, Petunia said. I told myself Lily would get wind, that James would move you again, that the prophecy would pass you by and settle on some other child. I told myself 100 lies and called them bargains. Her eyes closed. But words are tools. In the right hands, they're knives. I gave him the knife. The rain thickened against the window, a steady hiss. Harry heard again a green flash he hadn't seen, the fall of a body he had only imagined, his own wail turned into allergent he hadn't asked to wear. When he died at your mother's feet, Petunia said, voice turned thin, everything he promised me vanished with him. He had told me I would have a wand. He had told me I would be seen. Instead, he left me alive in a house that smelled of Polishan toast and shame, raising the boy who had unmade him. That was his lesson for me, not death. Ordinary. No doors. No light. Harry looked up. So you hated me because I lived. I hated you because you were proof, she said. Proof that I had paid everything and purchased nothing. Proof that Lily's choice was bigger than mine. Every time you grew, I had to see the shape of my cowardice get smaller in your shadow. He thought of a cupboard. Of a key he had returned like a joke. Of a woman who called him freak because the true word she couldn't bear to say was son. The thought pressed on him until he had to move. He paced to the sink and back, the kitchen too narrow for the distance he wanted. You could have told me, he said, not looking at her. You could have told me anything. Why I was here, why the letters, why the locks. Petunia's laugh was a short, ugly thing. And hear her in your voice? Read her hand on a page? Dumbledore's letter was clipped to your blanket. Beneath it was one for me from Lily. I read it once. She asked me to be kind. She stared at her empty palms. I baked a cake. I put the letter in the tin. I kept my house in a way that made me feel like I had some say over at least one thing. Harry returned to the chair. They came to the house sometimes, he said, remembering the prickling air, the way the neighbourhood would go quiet. Not him. Others. I felt it. They did, Petunia said. Leftovers. Believers. They asked again where you slept. I lied to them then. I hid you because I did not trust myself to answer differently if they pressed. I used locks on you because I was afraid of me. It landed between them like a dropped plate, ridiculous, sharp, true. Harry felt the anger rise and pass, like a wave he could choose not to drown under. He pressed the heel of his hand to his eyes and let the room stop spinning. You will ask me if I'm sorry, Petunia said after a moment. I am. I'm sorry in all the ways that do not help you. I cannot give you a childhood. I cannot return your parents. All I can give you is the part of the truth that belongs to me. Harry opened his eyes. The parchment lay where he had set it, Lily's seal holding like a small stubborn star. There's more, he said. There's always more, Petunia nodded. The letter, she said. Hers. You should read it, and then you should leave this house with nothing of me clinging to your shoes but words. The ones I should have said when you were small. She reached into the tin and brought out a thin brown envelope. Across the front, in a hand that turned Harry's bones to water, was a single word, Tuny. Petunia slid it across the table. She did not touch it again. She trusted me, she said. Even when she should not have. Read it. Then tell me whatever you mean to tell me and go. Harry set his thumb under the flap. The paper crackled softly. He paused, breath held, and looked at Petunia one last time. After this, he said, we're done. She nodded. After this, we are what we always were, she said. But at least we will both know it. Harry tore the envelope open. The envelope's paper was thin, browned at the edges, but the writing leapt from it as if it had been inked that morning. Harry's chest tightened as his eyes fell on the first word. Tuny, if you are reading this, then you have given him to me. I cannot pretend to understand what you have chosen, but I know fear when I see it. I know hunger too. The ritual will make him ours in law and in magic, mine and James's, but he will always be yours by blood. That is what the spell cannot take away. That is its mercy and its curse. You told me you wanted magic. That he promised it to you if you obeyed. I know the truth. He never gives without taking more. He will strip you bare, Tuny. He will make your hunger your prison. Please, listen to me, if you listen to nothing else. Do not trade what you love for what you want. If you do, you will wake with nothing but ashes. If I fall, and if James falls, and if the world leaves Harry in your arms, be kind. I will trust you even if I shouldn't. That is my mistake and my hope. He is more than prophecy. He is my child, and in some way he is yours. Please, Tuny. Be kind. Lily. Harry's vision blurred, but he forced himself to keep reading, again and again, until every curve of every letter burned into his mind. He folded the parchment slowly, as though it might splinter like glass. He pressed it flat with both palms before laying it gently back on the table. Across from him, Petunia's face was ashen, hollowed out by the weight of words she had buried for decades. She stared at her lap, her fingers knotted white. She trusted me, she said finally. Her voice was hoarse, breaking. Even after everything I said to her, after what I had done, she trusted me. And you betrayed her, Harry said. The words cut sharp and steady. Yes, Petunia's lips quivered. I wanted magic more than I wanted her. More than I wanted you. When he came to me, when he dangled it before me, I told myself it was only words. That Lily would outwit him. That James would fight him off. That I could still save face in both worlds. But words are not harmless. Words are blades. And I gave him the blade to cut her down. Harry's chest ached. He gripped the edge of the table to steady himself. The kitchen, once endless to a boy too small for his clothes, now felt stifling, like stone walls pressing in. You gave me away, Harry said, voice trembling. You gave them away? And then you locked me in a cupboard, made me your scapegoat, your freak. You made me pay for the choice you made. Petunia's eyes met his, glassy and wet. Because every day you lived, I had to see what I had destroyed. Every breath you drew reminded me of the promise he had broken, the power I would never hold, the sister I had condemned. He promised me everything. He left me nothing but you. That was his punishment. Her voice faltered, but she pressed on. Not death. Not magic. You. To raise the boy who survived the Dark Lord, while I lived as nothing more than a bitter housewife. He knew it would poison me more than killing me ever could. Harry's throat burned. Memories flooded him, the cupboard suffocating dark, Dudley's fists, plates of food pushed just out of reach, birthdays ignored, the word freak hammered into him until it fit like skin. Every cruelty, every cold look, every slammed door, all because she could not bear her own reflection in him. You hated me because I survived, Harry said. I hated you, Petunia whispered, because you were proof. Proof that Lily's love was stronger than my hunger. Proof that cowardice earns nothing. You grew and I stayed small. You became what I was too weak to be. Harry rose abruptly. The chair scraped against tile, startling them both. He stood tall, clutching Lily's letter in one hand. His scar pulsed faintly, an echo from a past that now seemed lighter than the truth before him. You wanted magic, he said. His voice rang hard in the small kitchen. You gave me away for it. You betrayed my parents for it. And when Voldemort fell, when his curse rebounded, all you had left was me. And you made me suffer for it every day as if I were the curse, not your own choice. Yes, Petunia said so quietly it was almost a gasp. Harry turned toward the door. Each step felt final. The night air beyond carried the smell of rain and new beginnings. His hand lingered on the handle, but he looked back once. Petunia sat rigid in her chair, pale and trembling, yet still clinging to a kind of broken dignity. Lily was my mother, Harry said softly. James was my father. They chose me, you chose yourself. That's the difference. Behind him, her voice cracked, raw and fragile. I know, Harry, I know. He opened the door. Cool air spilled in, carrying the clean scent of rain-washed pavement. For the first time, number 4 felt small behind him, powerless, its shadows stripped bare. Harry stepped into the quiet street. Lamps glowed against wet asphalt. The storm had passed, leaving only silence and the faint drip of water from the gutters. For the first time in his life, he walked away from Privet Drive without chains. No cupboard, no insults, no shadow of her shame clinging to him. Behind him the house closed like a cell door locking, sealing Petunia Dursley inside with nothing but her silence, her guilt, and her sentence.